With the mid-season update on the horizon, balance changes are inevitable. Some heroes feel almost broken and other heroes are struggling to keep up. So today I'm breaking down who I think is most likely to get buffed or nerfed in the upcoming patch. Quick disclaimer, this video is based off my personal experience at Grandmaster Celestial rank on both console and PC. If you're top 500, you're probably going to disagree with some of my takes, and if you're struggling to even get out of gold, you're probably going to disagree with a lot more. Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's start off with three obvious ones, which I'm saying are Wolverine here, Hulk, and Storm. Now, the reason I've picked out... Okay, that's in the wrong box. Awkward. But the reason I've picked out these three characters in particular is because these three characters get banned all the time. If the developers are going to balance by ban rate, I think it's pretty predictable that these three characters are going to get nerfed of some kind. Let's start off with Wolverine. I think Wolverine's going to have the most substantial nerfs because they originally buffed him at a time when most of the player base was suddenly realizing how good he was. But my main problem with Wolverine is that he's designed to make tank players suffer. And I'm sorry to say this, but that's just bad game design in my opinion. It pretty much makes him a must pick, and it makes for a miserable time if you're playing tank against him. Now, what would I nerf about him? I'm not sure. Like maybe a little bit of everything, you know, a bit of less health, less damage maybe. But I don't want to see him drop right into the depths of like the characters that I never played. It's just, yeah, my main problem is that he's designed to be a tank destroyer, and they kind of need to move away from that design and just have him be a normal damage dealer, you know? Now, moving on to the Hulk. The Hulk is he's just so oppressive. Like, have you ever seen a good Hulk popping off? Because it's bloody terrifying. Hulk can pretty much guarantee at least one kill in his ult, which is kind of unusual for a tank. And support players also never feel the need to support counter ult when a Hulk ults, because it's not like a team wiping ult, except sometimes Hulk just pops off and completely surprises you. But if you compare it to a Groot ult or Strange ult, a support player will pretty much always counter ult those because they want to save the whole team and they think the whole team's going to die. So Hulk's shield actually got nerfed last patch, and I have a feeling this time they're going to target his mobility because in my opinion that's what makes him so strong and such a big threat, because he jumps into your back line, he beats them around, he keeps them busy, he jumps out, he protects your team, and then a second later he jumps straight back into the support line to destroy them again, and there's like nothing you can really do about it. You just got to focus him so much. He takes up so much attention, and if you get someone to low health, he even has the ability to chase them down like quite easily. Like even if they're Black Panther or Iron Fist, they're such mobile characters that the Hulk can actually just chase them into, you know, tight corridors, jump up walls, and he's going to catch them a lot of the time. He just has such a huge influence on so many places in the battlefield that I think that's his main problem, like being able to just influence the back line, the front line repeatedly. I think that's what needs to change about him. Then we have Storm, who perhaps went from one of the worst characters to one of the best. And I want her to be nerfed for sure, but I don't want her to go into the depths of the never played, just like Wolverine. But then again, not all characters in the game can always be at the top, you know. Some DPS have to be at the bottom of the list. And Storm is very unique in her like slight support role. You know, area of effect, like damage buffing your whole team, is an interesting concept to be sure. I think they just overbuffed her at the start of Season 1, and I expect we'll see some of that reverted. But to be honest, I think she might have been slept on, and now people are awake. She's not going back in the box, basically. I think people now see her value, and if anything, I think we will see very minor damage nerfs to her primary and secondary fire, because that is the biggest problem, I think. I would like her to keep the cleaving damage because it makes her unique. But yeah, she just needs to get nerfed, man. I know this was a weird way to start the video, but I feel like I had the most to say regarding these three characters just because of how often they're banned. So now I'm going to start covering the healers. We'll start with Luna Snow and Cloak and Dagger, who, in my opinion, they are definitely going to get nerfed in some ways. I think for Luna Snow and Cloak and Dagger, we are almost guaranteed to see both of these ultimates reduced in duration, because 12 seconds in game can just feel like a lifetime. But as for both of the other kits, outside of the ultimate, they've got pretty good kits. Nothing sticks out like being OP, like the freeze or, the damage. It's just the ultimate, I think, just needs to get nerfed a little bit, and that's the duration. I think nerfing the ultimate duration is a good start, because if you just nerf that at a base level, then at the second half of Season 1, you can start seeing how much they're played, even with the nerfed ultimate. And next up, we have Invisible Woman. And to be honest, I don't actually think we're going to be seeing many substantial changes for her. She's pretty good, but she's not broken. Her heals have a limited range. Her ult is good. You can go invisible, but when you're invisible, you can't heal. And even when you go invisible, a lot of the time you'll still get caught out and die. So, she's not like invincible or anything. She seems just very fine. So if anything, yeah, I think she'll probably get minor changes or nothing. And yeah, we'll just have to see where she is. See how popular she is in the next half of the season. Now, Mantis, weirdly, I feel like I've seen Mantis drop off the face of the earth after Invisible Woman came out, which is funny because she's still a really good character, and I went from seeing her everywhere to suddenly just not seeing her as much. And the only change she got in Season 1 was that she doesn't move as fast in her passive, which is, it's not a very big change, but suddenly no one's playing her, and a lot of people would rather play Invisible Woman instead. So for me, personally, I say she actually won't get many changes at all. So I'm going to put her in minor changes or nothing. I think it just depends on how badly other supports are nerfed to see if Mantis's win rate and pick rate climbs again. So yeah, just my opinion. Again, I don't think she's going to get many changes at all. Now, Rocket Raccoon is a good healer with a not so good ultimate, basically. I'm honestly unsure if he's going to be buffed or nerfed. So I'm actually going to put him in the middle again, in the minor changes or nothing. It's a weird one. Because I have a feeling he might get a little something, but I'm unsure what. One idea I did have for Rocket Raccoon, just to make him a little bit more interesting, is how his revive beacon spits out like armor packs every now and then, and they're only 25 HP, but it's better than nothing. What if when you put his ultimate down, the ultimate gives out like 50 HP armor packs? Yeah, it's just a completely random idea off the top of my head. Instead of just damage boosting everyone, you can give everyone like an extra 50 HP, just a one-time thing that will suddenly go. It's just, his ultimate's a bit boring in my opinion, and yeah, I'd love to see it just slightly changed. Now, Jeff the Land Shark, the demon, he needs buffs. He just does. Like, what buffs? I'm not sure. His passive at the moment reduces damage taken from critical hits by 50%, which is actually pretty crazy when you think about it. But his head hitbox is so large and so easy to hit that I'm not even sure this matters. It's like half of his entire body. He just seems so easy to hit. But then again, I'm not sure we actually need to add more survivability to Jeff, because he can spit out healing bubbles that he can burst heal himself so easily. And then he goes underground for damage reduction and he swims up a wall. So I don't know about Jeff. They need to buff him. I'm just not sure how. A random idea I had for Jeff is to make his healing better is, his healing is just like a water jet. What if the water just lays on the floor for like a second after you use it, and that water pit can heal people as well? Just to make his healing output a little bit different and unique compared to the others. Yeah, completely random idea. I think he's definitely going to get buffed, so we'll have to wait and see. Next up, we have Adam Warlock. I think Adam Warlock is a pretty solid character all around. And if I could make any changes to him, I'd give him like an extra charge to his heals since he only has 2, or reduce the cooldown of the 2 that he has. Because then that will allow him to heal a bit more consistently instead of waiting on cooldowns 24/7, which I think is his biggest issue. I'm going to predict that he's going to get buffs of some sort, and it'd be really interesting to see some sort of Jeff the Landshark and Adam Warlock meta, especially since, Adam Warlock, if you can hit your shots, he does such good damage. The only problem is, I think, Invisible Woman ult, Mantis ult, Lunar Snow ult, and Cloak and Dagger ult, they're just, the best support ults, which is what is really carrying them at the moment. So if they kind of all got nerfed slightly, then, the other supports are going to shine a lot more. Now, the last healer we have is Loki. And Loki is an interesting one because I feel like I rarely see him. And when I do see him, they're just like the best Lokis I've ever seen. And not only that, it's hard to tell how good he is because of how difficult he is to use. I feel like he normally thrives when your team plays together because he can kind of splash heal everyone. But he seems to have less healing than all of the other healers. But I think his real value is in the Immortality Beacon, especially since he can put up 3 of them. And they're so useful. Literally a game-changing ability that can save your whole team if you can wait for like the right moment. I'm actually going to predict that he's going to get minor buffs. Just because he doesn't get played that much, I feel like. I think he's going to get minor buffs just to make him a little bit more meta, but I'm not sure what the buffs would target about him. Now, moving on to the tanks, I'm going to start with Doctor Strange. Now, Doctor Strange is a must-pick tank in like a lot of situations. And for that reason, I think he's going to get nerfed again. I think a lot of his utility comes from being able to burst down squishies like so quickly with his energy burst. And that is actually what got nerfed at the start of Season 1. So it could actually get further nerfed. And his shield regen got nerfed. That could get nerfed as well. I think he's just like a must pick. But he's such a must pick that sometimes he gets banned as well as Hulk. So yeah, I'm going to predict a nerf for Doctor Strange. Now, as for Magneto, Magneto is a very solid pick a lot of the time, and he's got a good all-around kit. He's got a decent ult, and this is just my prediction, but I'm honestly not sure we're going to see many changes to him, just because there's nothing that like stands out about him that's bad or good. And if Strange gets nerfed, I expect we're going to see Magneto's stocks going up a lot. So I'm actually going to leave him in the minor changes or nothing box. And he might be the more meta shield tank over Strange in the second half of Season 1. Now, Groot is interesting because he's okay, but he's not the best. I'm not sure we're going to see many changes with him either, if I'm being honest. The only thing I can say about Groot is that his ultimate tends to get blocked by like a lot of things. And I mean a lot. The ultimate never normally goes where you want to because it's going to bounce off shields. And if it doesn't bounce off a shield, then a shield will be blocking the ult from grabbing anyone anyway. But it could also be because Doctor Strange is like so meta that it's kind of ruining Groot's ult a lot of the time. So again, if Doctor Strange gets nerfed, Groot might become a lot more viable tank pick. Now, Captain America, I'm sad to say, but Captain America still needs work. And I expect he's going to get buffed even further, despite his Season 1 buff. I think eventually we're going to have a Captain America meta, and it's going to be crazy because he's going to be jumping all around and killing people reliably. He's going to be dashing, killing, getting out, and then he's going to reset. So if they buff him, they need to like not go crazy with his buffs. Just up his damage a little bit, up his killing potential. And if he starts becoming too crazy, then maybe lower his mobility. Because if you compare him to the Hulk, if you start buffing his damage and he's still got his mobility, he might become like a Hulk 2.0 because he's going to be jumping in, killing, jumping out, resetting. So I think he needs buffs. I want him to be meta, but I don't want him to be overpowered. I mean, no one ever really wants overpowered characters. but nonetheless, there's always going to be a tank at the top of the tank list. Whether that will ever be Captain America, who knows? Now, Penny Parker sometimes feels solid on certain maps, in certain places, but the rest of the time, she just feels awful. So she needs buffs. Personally, I think her main problem is that she feels so vulnerable. I think she's the easiest tank to kill by far, because every other tank has a way to protect themselves or give themselves health, and Penny is the only one who basically can't do that. She can slightly heal in her web field, which I feel like a lot of people don't know, but it still makes her the easiest tank to kill. But I think maybe they should increase the healing in her webs and increase her health or give her some armor or shield. I think she's got like a really unique design. I love like the spider nest. You feel like a spider, you know, sitting in your spider nest waiting for people to come in so you can kill them. I would love to see her buff, to be honest. She just needs it. Next up, we have Thor. Thor feels unkillable in the right hands, but the higher up the rank you climb, the more he gets focused. I think he's a very solid character, and if I could make any changes to him, I'd probably make his ult move a little bit faster, because, you know, you go in the air, you're lightning striking the ground, but it's actually, maybe I'm just a bad Thor, but I feel like it's so hard to get one kill or more in his ult. And this is just a me thing, but I'm always annoyed by how weird his cooldowns feel to me. Like, you can use any hammer ability, and then you've got to wait 2 seconds before you can use any other hammer-related ability. And I think it's just sort of strange design. So I'm going to put him in the minor changes or nothing box. I don't think he's a good tank. He's a good tank. Just minor changes, I think. The last tank is Venom. Now, poor Venom suffers. He does suffer, and he needs buffs. He's a little bit of a tickle monster, but a lot of times I hear people say, oh, he isn't meant to get kills, he's just meant to distract the backline. And sure, I mean, I guess, but that doesn't change the fact that he isn't played a lot. And I think he's just going to get buffed. I think he is. If they buff him at all, I think it's going to be like a minor damage buff, because he's already so tanky and he gets in and out. He just needs to be a little bit more reliable to get a kill, and then he'll swing away. So yeah, so far we got a pretty good balanced mix here, I think. Now, next up, we have the DPS, the damage dealers. We covered 2 already, so I'm going to start with Namor. Now, I think, straight up, I think Namor's going to get nerfed. I'm saying this because I'm starting to see him in pretty much every single one of my games, and I wouldn't be surprised if his ban rate was like climbing up pretty fast. He was pretty good in Season 0, and I wasn't expecting him to get buffed as we went into Season 1, but he did get buffed. So I think he's going to get hit back down to a nerf. The only problem with this is that he seems to be the only like really good counter to divers and flankers. So if he does get nerfed enough, we might be looking at a scary like dive heavy meta next season. Whether that's a good thing, I guess it is. You know, everyone's got their time to shine. It is what it is. Next up, we have Magic. Magic is a very solid character, in my opinion. She does good damage. She can get kills. She's just very reliable. I think we're guaranteed to see her nerfed, though. Although I'm not sure what they will nerf about Magic. I think she's just too reliable. I think perhaps it would be the shield, because her passive is when she does damage, she generates a lot of shield for herself. And sometimes she can literally stall out a 1v6 because the shield she generates is so much. And in between generating her shields, she can basically teleport, you know, into the limbo, and she has invincibility frames. It just makes her like so tanky sometimes and so annoying to deal with. I think that would what would get nerfed about Magic. Now, Black Panther stocks. I say stocks, I just mean pick rate. I think his pick rate's gone down quite a lot recently, but he can still feel like a busted character in the right hands. Personally, I think Black Panther won't actually get many changes at all. But if Namor gets nerfed enough, I think Black Panthers they're gonna come out of the shadows basically. Namor gets nerfed, which is indirectly a Black Panther buff. But yeah, I don't think Black Panther needs many changes apart from like a few bug fixes because he can be so glitchy sometimes. He sometimes just feels like the buggiest character in the entire game. Now, as for Winter Soldier, I'm starting to see Winter Soldier in like all of my games as well, pretty much everywhere. I don't think he's busted though. I think he's a really solid character and I actually don't think he needs any changes at all. I don't have much to say about him. I just don't think he needs many changes. If the next meta is more dive heavy, Bucky is going to be needed for his hooks. I just don't see him getting many changes. Now, Spider-Man. The world's most famous superhero, I think. We've all seen games where there's absolutely crack Spider-Man players and they just dominate the whole game. You've got to put respect on a good Spider-Man's name, right? But overall, Spider-Man, he's just not a very good character right now. He's actually near the bottom of the barrel. And I think he's going to get buffed. I do. The thing is, with Spider-Man, to have any sort of impact on the game, you basically need to be looking like this guy 24/7. I think Spider-Man's going to get buffed in the upcoming patch. I'm not sure how. Maybe shorter cooldowns, bug fixes. But I wouldn't be surprised if in the second half of Season 1, we're going to see a lot more Spider-Man. Now we have the Moon Knight. Can we fix Moon Knight's ult already? Come on. That ult is defo doing like twice the damage it's meant to. I don't know what the devs did to it. Maybe they accidentally added an extra 0 to the end of it. I don't know. Other than his ult, I've got to be honest, Moon Knight is kind of poo. Now, people might be surprised I'm saying this, but Moon Knight really struggles to get kills in the higher ranks, and the only way he gets kills is by farming and then ulting, pretty much. I think in higher ranks, yeah, he just really struggles to break through the shields and gets kills, so he becomes a sort of flanker, and even when he flanks, his sort of burst damage is not high enough to reliably keep getting kills. Nonetheless, his ult is bugged, so step 1 is to fix his ult, and then figure out if he does need a buff or nerf. I don't see him getting many changes. Like, I think his ult is going to change. And then I think when his ult is changed, we're going to start seeing if he's actually still a good character or if he's a bad character. So I'm going to say minor changes or nothing. Now, Psylocke, I really, really hate a good Psylocke player. They are so annoying. That being said, I think Psylocke might be in a really good spot right now. Her ult gets countered pretty easily, but sometimes you can get a kill with it, an occasional 1 or 2 kills. She has decent damage, she's got good mobility, and I actually just don't see Psylocke getting buffed or nerfed massively. I think, again, minor changes or nothing. Now, the goddess of death, Hela. Minor changes or nothing, again, in my opinion. I think she's in a really good spot right now. She was very meta, and then she got nerfed, and now she isn't meta, but she can still get picks. And she's still played a decent amount, I think. She still does good damage if you can hit your shots, and her ultimate can get kills every now and then, providing you don't get shot out of the sky in an instant, or blocked by a Strange. And like I was saying, if Strange has played less in the second half of Season 1, Hela's pick rate will probably start going up more, because she'll get kills in her ult more reliably, because it won't be blocked off. Yep, so I'm saying minor changes or nothing for Hela. Now, the Immortal Iron Fist. There's a weird thing going on with Iron Fist. There's a rumor going around that Iron Fist pretty much has a good win rate across all ranks, which is weird because no one plays him pretty much. Now, I'm not even sure I understand this myself, to be honest. But that being said, I think he's going to be buffed in the upcoming patch. And all of a sudden, I think everyone's going to realize that we're all getting our asses kicked by Iron Fist players. And don't ask me why, but I just feel like that is going to start happening in the very near future. I think we're going to see buffs for Iron Fist, and he's just going to start killing all of us. Now, poor Black Widow, the least played character in the game, and she's going to get buffed. Now, I'm about to say something very controversial, but I feel like Black Widow is still slept on a little bit. Like, did you know if you damage boost a Black Widow with a Mantis, she can one-shot headshot people? and I'm pretty sure she can one-shot headshot people in Storm's aura as well. So I guess the problem is there isn't many people that can reliably hit headshots all the time, like certainly not me. So yeah, I think she's pretty much guaranteed to get buffed because she can't stay at such a low pick rate. But please don't buff her damage like too much. I beg you, please. Now, the Punisher. I think the Punisher is pretty solid and reliable. He's got good damage, he's got a good kit, a good ult. Sometimes I feel like he struggles and just getting those final hits, being able to pick people off. Saying that, we don't want to buff him too much. I think for Punisher, personally, I think we're going to be seeing very minor changes, like maybe a cooldown, or maybe he'll get nothing. I'm not sure he needs much. Squirrel Girl. There was a really weird time, like a month ago, where I thought we were start seeing Squirrel Girl everywhere. Like, her damage is good. You know, it bounces everywhere. You can get random, unexpected picks by your nuts bouncing off the wall. And yeah, I realized what I just said. And her ult is pretty much scary. Her ult can be scary at times, providing you don't send it in a straight line forward and then it just dies in like a second or two. But yeah, I thought she was going to be played and that time didn't come. But I still see a Squirrel Girl every now and then. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I'm actually not sure if she's going to get buffed or nerfed because she's just an okay character. I mean, it depends which way the meta goes next season. Because if we're going to start seeing a dive-heavy meta like Iron Fist, Spider-Man, Venom, you know, Captain America, Squirrel Girl's pretty necessary because she can stun divers with her acorns. So, yeah, I'm going to say minor changes for Squirrel Girl. Now, Star-Lord. Why don't I see Star-Lord more? He's hard to kill, he does good damage, and his ult pretty much guarantees one kill or more if you can catch them off guard. Now, if you massively catch them off guard, sometimes Star-Lord can kill your entire team before you realize, and it just wins the fight. In my opinion, I don't actually think he needs changes. I think people just need to wake up and start playing Star-Lord because he's a good character. Although I could say that for a few characters, so maybe I should just be listening to my own advice. But I'm actually going to predict that Star-Lord isn't going to get many changes at all. Tony Stark, Iron Man. Now, have you ever had a game where you just get rolled by an Iron Man? It feels like a different form of getting rolled because his laser beam is in your face 24/7. It's shredding it's shredding through Doctor Strange's shield. It's killing all the tanks. It's just shredding everything. But the weird thing about Iron Man is that all he has going for him is the laser beam. And the laser beam is only really incredible if you have the Hulk Gamma team up. And if Hulk gets nerfed so badly that no one's playing him anymore, that means no more Gamma for Iron Man. And Iron Man is actually pretty bad by himself. And then he's almost busted with the Gamma team up. So I'm hoping we see changes where Iron Man is a bit more viable by himself. I would like to see people have a reason to actually use his micro missiles because they literally do nothing. And in my opinion, I think the micro missiles should be allowed to be used while you're using other abilities at the same time. So say you're using your laser beam and then you press the ability for your micro missiles and it doesn't stop your laser beam, it just adds extra damage. So it's weird. I think Iron Man kind of needs to be buffed, but it's very reliant on the Gamma team up. I don't think they're gonna buff his laser beam. I think they're just gonna mess around with his kit a little bit. So I'm gonna say minor changes. Now, poor Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye might be nerfed a little bit too hard. Although when I read the Season 1 patch notes, it didn't feel like they nerfed him hard enough. But the fact is, everyone was playing him, and now no one is playing him. And it's way easier to get good value out of other characters like Hela or Namor if you've got really good aim. And the same can be said for Black Widow. And weirdly, I'm still annoyed that Hawkeye can one-shot headshot players, but at the moment, that's actually the only thing he has going for him. I wouldn't be surprised to see Hawkeye slightly buffed, but I don't expect him to be buffed to the power level like he was before. Now, Mr. Fantastic, I'm one of the rare people that have the opinion that Mr. Fantastic is still slept on. I know he's a DPS, but if you look at him from the tank perspective, he creates so much space just by being this unkillable machine at times. That being said, his ultimate is going to get buffed. It just has to, right? It's so bad, and it's so bad that you can almost stand still and pretend like he isn't above you, bouncing up and down, doing damage, because it literally does nothing. It does nothing. I wouldn't be surprised to see a damage increase in the ult, and maybe an extra bounce, or maybe less charge needed for the ult. The rest of his kit is pretty decent, but again, I wouldn't be surprised to see minor buffs here and there. And I have a weird feeling that Mr. Fantastic might become a lot more meta next season, especially in like a solo tank composition where you have, say, Magneto and half a tank with Mr. Fantastic. Now, right at the bottom of the list, we have Scarlet Witch. Now, what do we even do with this character? Because I think she's going to get buffed for sure, but what kind of buff? Are they going to change her ult completely? Because if it was faster, it would be great, but would it be broken? Like, maybe they could make the ult faster, but reduce the range so it doesn't reach across all of time and space just to get kills. Does she need, like, shorter cooldowns or more damage? I actually have no clue, because she just feels like such a basic character in design that I feel like she needs a whole new ability in order to do well. Maybe she will get a new team up that gives her something. I doubt it, but in the far future, like, you never know. I think she's definitely going to get buffed. I just literally have no clue how. And yeah, that's everything. Maybe I put a few too many characters in the minor changes box, but the minor changes box is basically covering the smaller changes that I don't think will be felt nearly as much as those in the buff or the nerf box. So yeah, that's my opinion on who's going to get buffed substantially, who's going to get nerfed substantially, and those who are going to get minor changes or nothing. I'm looking forward to seeing the patch notes soon and seeing the new meta develop over the end of Feb, especially with like the release of the Thing and the Human Torch, because they could be meta. And that's pretty much it. That's all I have. I hope you enjoyed the video, and adios. Hey guys, YouTube thinks you'll love these videos, so go ahead and check them out. And if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me out. Cheers.